At 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Grant.
Here.
Benkert.
Here.
Hutton. Dretzky. Matthias.
Here.
Poskett.
Here.
Split.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from February 19th meeting?
I did want to make one change to the minutes. One of the names of one of the speakers was wrong. It's listed as Bill Eiler, and it should be Jerry Eiler.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion? In that case, all those in favor of approving the amended minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. Go right into our first action item, CSM for Knuth Real Estate LLC at 221 Watson Street. This is to take the 3 buildings that were joined together for his restaurant and separate them back into 3 individual buildings.
So this was a late addition to the agenda, but Knuth Real Estate has requested a CSM to take their 1 large parcel and subdivide it back into 3 separate parcels. Their property transactions planned with this, so those transactions are contingent upon this being approved, and the intention is to sell or utilize them as individual spaces instead of a large one space moving forward. They will be required, obviously, to put in walls and things of that nature, so that is planned as part of any improvements that occur with new ownership and whatnot. There are escapes out back, and everything else is pretty much, I think when Dave purchased it, it was at least 2 or 3 two, and he combined them into.
Fat Bruce's took
Yeah.
the first 2 together.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of a step back to subdividing.
Any discussion or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the CSM for Knuth Real Estate, 221 Watson Street.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the CSM for Knuth Real Estate at 221 Watson Street, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. Next is site plan for Big Top Brew at 1213 West Fond du Lac Street.
Excel Engineering is here, and plans have been submitted. Just a reminder, a couple months back, we, the Plan Commission reviewed and approved a site plan for a car wash on the site. The plan has kind of changed, and certainly we can talk about that now.
Sure, so thank you for having me this evening. So ultimately, what's going on right now is they're proposing what originally was phase 2 of this 2-unit development, I guess I get what I'll call it. Based on costs, the scope has kind of changed, that the car wash is now taking precedence over this. So the car wash is now future, and the coffee shop is now proposed. So these plans just formalize that. The layout is very similar, almost exactly what was shown as future with the car wash project. Like I said, this one's just taking precedent over the car wash, and there's likely when the car wash comes back online, there would be modifications to that to retrofit to based on what the coffee shop is, because the coffee shop took some area from the car wash and so on and so forth. So merely financial from the car wash standpoint, and the market just kind of changed from what they were seeing, and the coffee shop will be more higher demand than the car wash based on what they found. So
So question for legal, if the changes to the car wash side of the site plan are minimal, do they need to get a new site plan approval for the car wash when that comes back? Or is-
I'd say yes, I think they're now suggesting there's going to be modification to the original site plan for the car wash.
And the ordinance is pretty clear on anytime there's an improvement of like 500 square feet or more, site plan review is required by this, so, and, you know, I don't think they have the firm plan yet, they may have, but it may have moved or changed, or it may change more, so,
That's the representation of that.
But if it's,
Something is changing on the previous car wash plan that was approved by the planning.
my question is if it's similar enough, that was already approved?
Right, that's the debate,
Yep.
is there are changes. If there aren't any changes, that wouldn't be an issue. But they're suggesting because of setting this one up first, there's gonna be some movement on the prior site plan.
Correct, and
Okay.
what I would say is site plan approval is, how long is that good for technically?
I think 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
So, if it goes beyond that, theoretically, that approval is void. So, in my opinion, I think that's probably what's gonna happen. Just to be frank, it's just,
Yeah.
is what it is.
It's a probability, yeah.
Yes.
And I think we can go on the record to say that any reapplication for the car wash must come back before the planning commission
Sure.
as part of the motion. Because there are some changes that are being represented here. So we're not just going to say, okay, they can try to stick the car wash as close as it looks to the old site plan. New site plan required for car wash. That's part of the motion of approving
Yep.
what they're doing here this
And just as you see this site plan, the difference really is kind of the former was kind of a U-shaped entry, and now it's kind of coming off
Yeah.
of now, in the future, that may be removed, it may be enhanced, it may be, you know, so there's gonna be maybe even changes to this when they come back to do the car wash, depending on how that works out. So I think everything will have to be reviewed again.
Okay. And the culverts were aware of that? Your
Yeah,
clients?
yes. Yeah, she's not worried about that.
Okay.
Like Adam was kind of talking about, so traffic flow, it's a one-way entrance on the north, just to, be clear here. One-way entrance on the north, it's a dead end, the curb is shoved over so that vehicles going north in that parking lot would be restricted from going out. There'll be signage and no access. So all vehicles will enter from the north, exit on the east side. At the time of any future development, even though it's kind of a moot point, that would get removed. Entrance would slide to the west, and the traffic pattern would follow the original intent of how that is going to work. It's just, this is the best solution for this project.
Thank you.
Yep. Other than that, there's the renderings that were provided. It'll be pretty close to what I think will actually, assuming building has no issues, that's what will be constructed and so on and so forth, so.
Is this Big Top Root, are they like a franchise or is this a one-off? So they got the building layout pretty down pat.
You know, it's same, it's Katie Culver, same tenant as the car wash was, so.
So staff reviewed, building inspection reviewed, there's really no changes from a utility plan or any other issues with ingress or egress. They're addressing the same concerns that were addressed with the car wash to begin with. They're putting in everything that was requested as part of the car wash. And it's literally just a new building with kind of what was intended before. So no concerns from a staff perspective on the submitted plans.
I just have a question, were there any signage changes needed on the highway here for right turn or
moving signs or anything? I didn't see the original.
They're
site
using an
plan.
existing entrance.
Yeah, for Silver Creek, right?
Yeah.
And the hotel, I think all three would use the same entrance.
Correct. Yep, so the intent here, what staff had requested is that the entrance be striped to a inn. I think it's a one-lane in, which is on the west side, and then a left out and a right out. Or straight and left, I guess technically, and then a right out. But that's just a striping change, no change to the axis, width, length, anything to Highway 23.
From those arrows that you have on the drawing, where, you know, in and exit, how far is that to the highway?
That's, the highway is.
Is it right there?
Yes.
That's, which line is the highway? It's
This
right.
is the this is the path,
Okay.
That's the sidewalk.
yep,
So
and then
just
here's
before
the.
the sidewalk.
So that would be technically the highway there.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so
It's
it's
just-
striped, those markings are on the, backside of the pedestrian way, I guess I'll.
Just
say
looks a
that.
little confusing, but can those lines go out to the highway?
They are going out.
They will go to the highway?
Yep,
Okay.
the lines will, but the markings are inward of that.
Yeah, okay. It's just, I think people will get used to it. It's just gonna be different for starters.
Right now, there's no designation.
Correct. Yep, it's just a blank canvas. Correct.
So just for curiosity of the building layout here, I assume one window is a drive-through and the other is a walk-up,
Correct.
and no inside
No,
service?
it's employees only, correct. Yep. Yep, there's no dining, it's literally a pick up and go. Yep.
There's no like outside tables or anything, or
There,
seating, or?
there is one patio table, I think is gonna go on the west side of the building. The intent of that is there's a pedestrian way along Highway 23 that we see bikes and pedestrians using to access the building, especially in the summer months, obviously.
So you can see here.
Is there only one entrance and exit?
Landscape plan.
Yes.
And that's legal?
Yep.
I think you can use the drive-through window as a.
Well, I would, yeah, there was a
In
fire,
an emergency, yeah.
but I was just wondering if that was.
Interesting, but yeah.
I'm guessing it has to do with how small the building is.
Yeah, it's 600 square feet.
Okay.
So this kind of looks.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for Big Top Brew at 1213 West Fond du Lac Street.
I'll second the motion to approve.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the site plan for Big Top Brew, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, time is now 7:14. I will open a public hearing regarding the proposed creation of tax increment district number 16, the proposed boundaries of the district, and the proposed project plan for the district. Adam or Ellers can start this one.
Who wants to talk? So I can just give a broad overview of the project, and then I think Casey and Phil are here from Ellers. So in your packet, and you can pull it up on the screen too if you want, or Casey, if you want to take control eventually, we can do that too. But there was a project plan for the creation of TIF 16. The Joint Review Board held a meeting earlier today to just review the project plan, provide any feedback, and then basically this is the public hearing held by Plan Commission, and it will move forward from here as described in the project plan. The general reason for this TIF district and the creation of it is related to the SCS Ripon project in the Sandmar development. This is a partial TIF overlay of TID 7. And then there is additional lands within the TIF that are added for redevelopment to assist with infrastructure costs and other improvements identified by the city in the project plan. I can certainly turn it over to Ellers at this point, and Casey and Phil, and if you want to present it, or if we want to, there's no public here for comment, but we certainly can do the presentation and public comment period if that's what you want, Lud.
Yeah, I think it's the right appropriate way.
So,
Let them make their presentation during this period of time.
And if anyone from the public decides to join us, they have time.
Exactly.
Casey, do you wanna take over or what?
Yeah, sure, I could take over. Okay, can everybody see that?
No.
Not quite. We see you.
Let me try it again. There we go, there we go.
Now we can see it.
Now we got it. Okay, so yeah, thanks, Adam, for the introduction. I'm Casey Griffiths, Senior Financial Specialist with Ellers, and also, most of you know Phil Cosson, who's one of our municipal advisors. So we're just gonna kind of walk through the project plan for tax increment district number 16. As Adam noted, the GRB had their initial meeting this afternoon to review the project plan. So I made a few kind of adjustments here, kind of based on the discussion we had with GRB. But turning to page 2, we.
Uh-oh.
Internet is
Afraid of
bounced.
that. We're having some flashes of lights. It'll come back.
We lost him.
It'll come back up. A minute or two.
Let me reconnect.
I'm guessing the modem lost power.
Probably booted
That was
us.
a very short presentation.
That's good.
I can
These
give
are not hurling lightning.
I can give the presentation because I heard it this morning, so. Alright, we're gonna have a problem here.
It's gonna take.
This sometimes does this too because it gets ridiculous.
Do you want a hotspot for my phone?
I don't know what I want right now.
Streaming well enough, we could.
I can always start it via Zoom. On my phone.
Otherwise, if you refresh your networks, it'll probably show up for my phone.
Which one's yours?
That's my name. I just turned it on so you don't need to refresh.
Disconnect that. That's it?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Whatever.
All those devices on your network right now.
We'll try again.
Yep. It's probably done with the presentation.
Yeah, hopefully stop.
Questions, yeah. Got any questions?
Hopefully he's still there.
There.
The summary of.
Oh,
We didn't
sorry,
even-
sorry.
You gotta go back to page 2.
Sorry, we gotta go back.
Go way
We
back.
gotta go back to page 2. We lost you for a minute.
Okay.
We had some snow issues and lights flickering, and we lost some power.
Okay.
So, sorry.
You got practice.
You got practice. So redo. Start there. Thank you.
Take 3.
So you said you lost me we were on page 2?
Yeah, that right there. Just start there. We're good.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So, I guess I'll start over. So key dates, so this evening is, the public hearing's being held, and then anticipated approval by, the planning commission. We have adoption, scheduled for, the city council on April 8th, and then, final approval by the Georgia Review Board, which is scheduled for the, 29th of April. So going on to page 3, so this is a proposed mixed-use district, about 53 acres. As Adam discussed before, it's kind of centered around S.C. Sidursky's development, but it also includes additional parcels, kind of centered on Benjamin Street, along with Rigstead Drive, Sandrock Drive, and Pleasant Street. There's a portion of the project or of the district that is an overlay of undeveloped portions of TID number 7. TID number 7 financially is in not the greatest shape, plus it's also coming up on its expenditure date, the end of expenditure period. So basically this will allow for increment to be collected for longer in the future until 2046 to do the infrastructure improvements versus the final increment collection year for TID 7, which is 2034. So obviously allows the city more flexibility in terms of redevelopment opportunities. The estimated cost for projects to be undertaken is just over $4 million. This includes such things as electrical utility line relocation, a new municipal well, street extensions and improvements, some demolition of existing structures, park improvements, stormwater improvements, as well as developer incentives. Just noting, any developer incentives would require approval by the Common Council via developers agreement. Incremental valuation, we are projecting that to be $16.4 million when the district, $16.4 million for the district. We'll go through some details on later on in the project plan, details of what how we came about those figures. The expected termination of the district is 17 out of its allowable 20 years, so we expect it to close before, or be able to potentially be closed before the end of its allowable period of 20 years. I won't go through a lot of details on the summary findings because it's really more boiled down to in some of the later details in the rest of the document. So, a couple key items here is number 4 of the summary findings. We've determined 50% of the area of real property within the district is suitable for mixed-use development. So this is a mixed-use district. It meets the test. It's also, in terms of newly platted residential, it's not going to comprise more than 35% of real property. And we'll go into a little bit more of the details later on. And the improvements in the district are likely to take significant enhance value of suitability of real property. The equalized value taxable property in the district is not projected to exceed the 12% allowable limit including all the districts in the city. And the city is estimating that 6.9% of the territory within the district will be devoted to retail business. So that's kind of the general summaries. To go into a little bit more detail, this is the preliminary map. This is a little different than what I showed the GRB earlier, but this includes the boundaries of the proposed district in blue. The overlay districts here, the overlay parcels of the district with the overlay of 7 are in these parcels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we've also included the existing TID parcels, the TID 7 parcels as well. The next page, page 9, shows the existing land uses within the district. So we have a mix of residential parcels, exempt parcels, so city-owned as also school district-owned, and then agricultural parcels. Page 10 is the preliminary parcel list. So this table identifies the parcels that are to be in the district. So we have 8 total parcels shown and their acreage. There's a total of 52.89 acres. Once we exclude the right-of-ways, which is about 0.5 acre, the total amount of land in the district is 52.39 acres. And then the total net acreage for mixed-use development does meet the requirements of 50%. So we've determined that 99% is suitable for mixed-use development, which it needs to be at least 50%. And then on top of that, we've determined 25.3% is suitable for newly platted residential. And again, the percentage requires not more than 35%. On the next page, we'll show the calculation of the assessed values and equalized values for the district. So Utilizing information from the city, we have the parcel data here of assessed values, taking a calculation based on the city's aggregate assessment ratio of 75.7, we determined the equalized values of 1.3 million for the entire district. This is important because as we prepare and look to the equalized value test, we need to know the total equalized value of the district. So this is on section 5, which shows the valuation test, ensuring that compliance with the statutory requirements that the total value of all increments of all existing tax increment districts do not exceed 12% of total equalized value of the city. As you can see here, the estimated base value with 1.3 million, and the incremental value of existing districts of 53.1 million, and then less the underlying value of TID 7 of the parcels in TID 7 that are included in this. Gets you to a total value of 53.2 million, which is 8.39% of the city's TID and equalized value. So it does meet the threshold and the compliance with statute. I won't go into a lot of detail on section 6. This is just a long list of potential projects or potential types of projects that are eligible within the district. Really wanted to go more towards the page 18, which includes the projects that are projected to be outside of the district within a half-mile boundary. But really want to focus in on this map here, which is showing proposed improvements as well as the half-mile boundary map. Just give there are 5 improvements within the district, and then another 6 that are outside the district. This shows also the boundary map that would be within with an area that's within a half-mile of the district's the district boundaries. This is a future land use map. This does need to be updated a little bit, which was discussed at Joint Review Board. This particular parcel here does need to be adjusted to be institutional, but the remainder of this includes residential, right-of-way areas, as well as commercial areas. Detailed list of estimated project costs is on page 24. So these are the projects that the city has identified within the half-mile boundaries of the district. So it includes a line energy utility line relocation, portion of a new municipal well. So as you can see here on line 2, there's a $4 million project cost for the municipal well, less $3.2 million in non-project costs. So that's project costs that are attributed to properties outside of the district to finalize with a number of 750,000. Those are servicing project or properties within the district. An extension of Ringston Street, existing Ringston Street improvements, minimum lot demolition and cleanup. So that would include, potentially cleaning up the existing property and removing some homes. Park development for Sandmar Pond. These are your half-mile projects. Stormwater management, maintenance of Sandmar Pond, stormwater management, drainage easement, extension of Rogers Road, Barlow Park improvements, and then miscellaneous street improvements on Ardmore Village and Hope. And then we have ongoing project costs, which include $200,000 for development incentives, a Sandmar lot sale program, and then we've also included in project 14, 15, 16. These are ongoing costs related to interest on long-term debt, your financing costs potentially for potential debt that has to be issued for projects in the district, as well as ongoing planning and administrative costs. So in total, we're looking at about $3.2 million in project costs within the district, and about $700,000 in project costs within a half-mile. Starting on page 25 is the economic feasibility as well as cash flow projections for the district. So as we noted before, it's expected that the district will create $16.4 million in incremental value by 2045. The estimated value, timing, and construction will be shown on the next table. This assumes the city's current equalized TID interim tax rate of $20.74 per thousand of equalized value, as well as a 1.5% economic appreciation rate. The project would generate $6.26 million in incremental value over that 20-year period. And This table 1, this shows what our development assumptions are. So this includes Sandbar Village development in construction years 25 and 26, 1351 Metamen development in years 26 through 2030, 1350 Metamen in years 29 through 37, development of residential lots at 445 and 437 Sandbar, and then some potential commercial development is yet to be determined in 28, 30, and 32. The table 2 shows what the projection is, an increment projection worksheet, so what the future value increment is projected to be based on the value added for new developments, economic change, as well as the city's current tax rate. So as you can see here, 6.2 is what the future value is projected to be. Always note that the actual revenue lags behind when the construction happens. So if construction occurs this year for projects, the valuation doesn't hit until 2026, and then revenue doesn't actually occur until 2027. So there's three-year lag basically between when projects are built within the district, when their value is determined, and then when the city will recognize, or the district will recognize them. And then table 3, this shows the cash flow for the district. So here the orange are projected revenues. This includes the projected tax increments, which came from table 2, based on the city's tax rate. Debt proceeds for borrowing that's anticipated for projects within the district. The green here shows projected expenditures. So there's a $2.3 million promissory note, which is anticipated for 2026, and then a 2028 promissory note for $860,000. So this is your debt service that's proposed, as well as projected other expenditures, municipal revenue obligation for Sandbar at $200,000, block grants for Sandbar lots in a total of $50,000, bond proceeds from the capital fund, as well as financing costs associated with the debt that's issued, and then just ongoing planning and administration over the lifetime of the district. So that includes things like just having to file paperwork and ensure that everything is being reports are being filed, that sort of thing. And as you can see here, the balances show that the district will be able to pay all its outstanding liabilities by 2043. So that's your annual total expenditures, your annual amount of your expenditures less, or revenues less expenditures here, and then cumulative fund balance is shown here. Going on to the next page, there's no annexed property, or no property has been annexed to the city within 3 years, so there's no need to worry about that. The, as I said before, estimated that the city estimates that 6.9% of the territory within the district is going to be devoted to retail business. The plan is in general conformance with the city's zoning ordinances, as well as its master plan, and then obviously all projects within the district have to conform and comply with relevant state and local state building codes, local ordinances, plans, and codes. The other remainder sections, not a whole lot of detail on these here. Basically, it's ensuring that the project plan the creation of the district is conforming to the orderly development within the city, which it is. There is an estimated list of non-project costs which we have to call out in the plan, which I noted before in that project plan list. That was the new municipal well. Again, the total project is $4 million, but the majority bulk of it is going to be the servicing properties that are outside the district. So the benefit of those properties outside of the district. So we just have to note that here. Legal opinion will be forthcoming. So that's still showing as the sample here. And then this is section 17 is just the calculation of the other taxing jurisdictions and their estimated of what the taxable property each taxing jurisdiction would pay based on that jurisdiction. And with that, that is it. I can answer, Phil and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I have
John?
one. It's projected that it's gonna cost the city $4 million with a $16 million return.
So,
But is that a good ratio? Is that the ratio, or is it above average ratio for return?
I think the $16 million is the anticipated increment generated, if I'm not mistaken, right,
Yes.
Casey?
that's
So,
what-
yeah, I mean, in terms of this area, right, the current valuation is about $1 million to $1.2 million. You know, absent of a TIF district, you know, the improvements that we're talking about to have the SC Swiderski project go, to have the commercial section abutting Matoman there on the east side of Matoman, where the vacant houses and dilapidated houses are, and then going across the street to the property that is the Ken Fisher lot. There are improvements needed in those areas to spur further economic development, right? So, with TID 7 never materializing in the way that it should have because of the lack of increment, capitalizing on the investment of the SCS project then allows us to, utilize this TIF district to fulfill some of the development that should, or we hope to have occurred in TID 7 over the last 15 years or so. In addition to that, the ability to address some of the other concerns, whether they were brought up via Plan Commission or Council related to the area surrounding Sandmar and other infrastructure, without the TIF district, for example, the well site would be 100% on, the full residence, right? And we've identified a well site out there. Infrastructure improvements, Ringstead Road, connecting it, improvements to Ringstead Road that we've been talking about for a long time with the school district, and making it, a easier traffic, flow in that area. So, ultimately, is that a good return on investment? $16 million of additional taxable property, and that is not bad for our community. And in absence of this TIF district, there is honestly an unlikelihood that we address this area in this manner for a long time, right? It's just the TIF district is helping with infrastructure and other things that will make this area hopefully develop more quickly than otherwise, so.
And we're underwater on 7 by 900,000?
Yeah, I don't know where we're at, Phil, with TID 7, but I think it was around $900,000. That has about 9 years left, 7 to 9 years left of paying back. And an intention of this TIF district is, if there's excess cash, it can push dollars to TID 7 and help financially there, as well as the intention is to continue the Sandmar lot sale program with this TIF district to generate additional increment within TID 7 to continue to more rapidly pay back that deficit. So the more houses we build out in Sandmar and incentivize, the quicker that that deficit gets paid back. So there's a call to that as well, to help financially stabilize TID 7.
Thank you.
Adam, the only thing I would add also, and for those who haven't necessarily been through this TID process, or even if you have as a reminder, because a project cost is listed, it doesn't mean it's going to occur. This doesn't circumvent the normal process of a city approving capital expenditures. So it's in the project plan. That means those are costs that can be paid for out of a different fund, the TIF fund. But again, every improvement that is made will still go in front of the city council for action. So there's a big number in there, $4 million, but there's, we never may achieve all of that, 4 million if the development isn't there to support it.
That's the whole thing, right, is we have had TIF districts that haven't ever gotten close to what the project plan has been because they've never developed fully. Then there are TIF districts that do really well, that far exceed the project plan expenditures and anything we ever projected, like TID 6 we just closed, and that, you know, the project expenditures at the beginning of that may have been, you know, a couple $1 million, and at the end of it all, there's more than that was spent because it generated the increment. So it provides us some flexibility for the south side of town to invest in infrastructure and address and grow down there that otherwise we don't have without the TIF district.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it, is where else in the city do we have room, you know, just available space to kind of incentivize or even begin or work with people on developments that, you know, we're not already trying infill or whatever, which is clearly a objective in the city, you know, over here and everywhere else, but to have new construction and new housing where, you know, we're limited, we're kind of bounded in right now.
Can you go to the project map, Casey? So I can just explain this to you just so everybody's aware. So number 1 is the SCS project. That's the site for that, and there's a relocation of a utility line that we would have as part of this. You then jump down and there's 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is 2 is where the well site has been sited. So we've gone through a well site investigation, and that has been identified as a well site, and we are currently working with the property owner to you know, look at purchasing some property there to put a well site in. 3 would be the extension of Ringstead Road to connect to Matoman, which was discussed previously as part of Plan Commission and Council regarding the SCS project. 4 is infrastructure improvements to Ringstead abutting the school district there. That roadway is kind of put in there and never fully improved or never finished. As well as we talked to the school about that. There are other improvements in that area that can, crossing on Matoman, things that can be assumed by the TIF district. Yes?
Is that considered a city road?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then to the south of that, you know, the idea that Ken Fisher, I've talked to him 3 or 4 times about including his property, and he has not objected to including his property for future development in to the project plan. You then go outside of the, or 5, sorry, is an area where there are 4 or 5 blighted homes that are currently, most of them are vacant. We've talked about, you know, removing those and raising them and developing that property. Moving over then to the other side outside the boundary, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is the intention of putting dollars in to develop Parkland, extend Rogers Road, provide dollars to maintain stormwater infrastructure, including the Sandmar Pond, as well as 8 there. We have an easement that we are to maintain everything to the east of Sandmar Pond, so that would be there. 10, we did some master planning for Barlow Park. In the event that the TIF district has access funds, we could make improvements to Barlow Park, including ball fields and other things of that nature, down the road. And then 11 is improvements to roadways and sidewalks in the corridor along Pleasant and kind of those Hope Ardmore, all those areas. As we discussed in the Plan Commission and at the council, connecting that area up to the school was an important consideration to make, so the TIF district could fund some of those projects. So those are the project costs related to the city infrastructure needs, some of our planning, some of the concerns we've heard from the school district, some of the concerns we've heard from residents in the area regarding the development of this area, and some of the needs for SCS Ripon project.
So as there's no one here from the public, I will officially close the public hearing at 7:45, and we can continue discussion as a commission.
The Ringstead Drive on the east side of Matoman there was in the original project plan to be developed and made into a road, is that correct?
Yeah, I think the intention was to develop, Casey, can you go up to the initial overlay map, where there's TID 7? Yeah, so there was, I'd have to look back at the project plan, maybe Phil did that one, for TID 7. But I believe there was infrastructure costs and things of that nature.
No.
I think that,
Not Adam.
Oh, okay. So that one failed because we didn't, yeah, right?
I believe Ringstead was in phase 2 or 3 of the original TID 7.
Yeah, it was, I think, planned out, and as you can see how it was built and how the parcels lay out, there's an intention for a right-of-way there.
Yeah, yeah. To me,
And-
that's another one that makes sense to continue building.
And parcel 3 is entirely in TID 7? Or the big one to the south center? Not
Which
this
one?
That one?
That one, yeah.
Is it 5?
Yeah,
This one?
Yep. That is in TID 7.
Okay. So, for clarification, properties get built in parcel 5. Does it add increment to TID 7 or TID 16 or both?
Did you get that, Casey?
Oh, they froze again.
Uh-oh.
Frozen.
I think we might have lost
Oh,
them.
Oh,
there we
here,
are.
you there?
Oh, there we go. There we
Okay,
go.
sorry. The question was, is in like a parcel that is overlaid, like TID 5, if there's growth in TID 5, does it impact TID 7 or TID 16?
It impacts TID number 16. It freezes the value of TID 7 once TID 16 is created, and increment new taxes that are generated from development on parcel 5 would go to TID 16.
Okay. So houses built there don't help bail out 7, but we can transfer money from 16 into 7. If there's
And-
extra.
Yes, and lot sale programs, things of that nature, so, yeah.
Okay. Any more question or discussion, or would anyone like to make a motion to progress this resolution to the council? Or we're just passing a straight up resolution at the commission level?
Establishing the boundaries and approving the project plan for tax incremental district number 16, that's the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the creation of tax incremental district number 16, the proposed boundaries of the district and the proposed project plan for the district.
Is that worded properly, Lynn?
Yeah.
Yes.
I read it off the
He can
paper,
live
so.
with it. He
Excellent.
can live with it. He got it all in there.
Alright. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving tax increment district number 16, and the resolution establishing the boundaries and approving project plan for said district. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. This now moves on to council on
Yep, it'll go
April
to
8th.
council on April 8th. Thank you, guys, sorry about the freeze, but it's better than having to drive all the way here. So,
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, yeah, thank you.
thank you.
See you guys.
Good night.
Alright, I'll disconnect the internet unless you need it still.
No, we should be,
I'll leave it on. Cause I got a message that Charter or Spectrum is out downtown.
I got the same message.
Felt my phone buzz too,
I
so
was
I'm
like-
sure
I heard a couple of phones going
Yeah.
off at the same time.
Alright, so moving on to the next item, which is a discussion on zoning code project. We have a proposal from Veerbecker to go through our codes and that in phase 1 and phase 2 start helping us rewrite them and modernize them. Adam, more specifics?
Sorry. let me pull this up. So, a part of, we recently completed a housing study, and there were some recommendations to just review the zoning code. So Vierbecker prepared the housing market analysis, and then after that, basically I engaged them and said, can you put together an agreement to work with us to review our zoning code? So this is a proposal to essentially review the entire section or chapter 20 of the City of Ripon zoning code. That includes residential, industrial, commercial, everything. It's kind of built into 2 phases where they would first look at just a review, work with city staff to, review processes, review the existing issues, and sort of just kind of provide a final report saying, these are the issues we see and need to be addressed. And I believe that the fee for that is $6,000. And then in addition to that, phase 2 would be the actual revisions and updates. So rewriting the City of Ripon zoning code, which would involve additional work, drafting, and then there would be Plan Commission, public meetings, Common Council meetings, going through the whole process, right? The reason I'm bringing this forward is not because I want another project, or it's because we haven't done something comprehensive like this in decades, I would guess.
It's over, yes,
And
pushing 30, I think.
Yeah, somewhere in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
And the reality is we've done some work within the housing residential district, and we've done okay there, right? We did that in a full package as well, because a lot of times when you're doing zoning code amendments, if we want to change one thing, it's a public hearing, it's a process to just change one little thing. And the things that we see needing to be changed within the zoning code are, they're mounting, right? And doing it comprehensively and developing a full zoning code that works cohesively is something that we haven't done. We've just pieced it together over the last 20, 30 years and made changes when, oops, or when we want to change something, right? So we have $15,000 in our budget for community and city planning. So this would expend all of that. And you see kind of the scope here of the timeline, so it would start, and it's a 6-8 month process. So it's a big project to review it all. But what I see is issues in every zoning district. What I have is, our DPW, Alan, he's very well versed in zoning codes and regulations. And there are 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 ordinances that he's like, we need to change this. We need to, and it's like, okay, well, do we do that? When do we do that? Or how do we do that? Because every time you change it, it's a public hearing, it becomes, so our goal in this was to say, let's take a look at it. Let's also review, our permitting processes and our, our overall flow of how development works, to make it maybe more friendly, to make sure our permitting is consistent. And then, come forward with a final, here's the new zoning code. So I wanted to share this with you before we took it to the council for consideration, to get you on board, because you all will have a role as the Plan Commission to review and work with Vierbecker and the city staff to get the final product in place. There are simple things that can change, there are more complex things that will change, but ultimately the goal here is to prevent something bad from happening and kind of modernize and gain control of some of the things that we may see as issues. So certainly Vierbecker provided this. I did not ask any other consultants for it because frankly Vierbecker has done a nice job with our housing and market analysis. They know kind of the housing zoning code already. and that we have, so they're not necessarily starting from scratch there. And in terms of working with different firms, they are more than capable of doing this, and it's spreading it out to them as well is good, just from the perspective of we have other consultants we work with that are doing other things. So this is our recommendation if we want to do a project like this. $15,000 I feel is a lot of money, but ultimately I am telling you, if you asked Lud and me to do it,
We might get it done in 2028.
You're optimistic.
Yeah,
I'm like to really do this right, this is the approach.
Clearly.
And you know, we'll all have input, but if I had to start writing it today, I don't know if I could get through it. That it's a beast.
Apparently, they would have staff that does this zoning every day, correct?
Exactly.
They
That's-
have specialized people.
They have
Yeah,
the same.
not that you guys couldn't do it, but
Yeah.
it would be more efficient to pay somebody to do
Well,
it. Maybe you couldn't do it, but maybe, yeah.
in terms of research, in terms of experience writing zoning codes, all our experiences, in terms of our general experiences, when we see a problem, we draft what we want, we review it on a small scale,
Yeah.
little by little. Going through, 100 pages of code
And see how they interface.
and see how they work. There are planners and community development professionals that they write these things and know what other communities have done, because that's the other part of this that we don't have experience with. While we have staff that have worked in other communities and seen things work, you're actually hiring someone who's developed these and reviewed policies and ordinances in other communities that you don't even know you can do,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, that would work, really, that would address
And
the problem here.
They have seen things that have worked, they've seen things that
That
don't
haven't,
work,
yeah.
Yeah.
can steer us away from those.
And our role in it really as the city is to take whatever they put together and put Ripon's, Ripon's spin on it, right? Or Ripon's process or nuances, right? I talked to Alan a lot about it, and in his former community, they're like, Alan, rewrite the zoning code. In a total of 1 year, he spent 4 hours rewriting the zoning, but that's the kind of, that's how big of it's a beast, it really is, of a project, so.
And one benefit to doing the holistic review like this is, I know for a fact that we have conflicts between zoning codes in the industrial sections. We have 2 different industrial sections, and they do conflict with each other. They'll be able to catch those issues.
So, I mean, it ultimately, it's, I think, long overdue and something that, I don't want to get caught in something bad, right? If somebody comes with a use that we don't want, or we
Right.
get into
Yeah.
a situation
That's the other thing.
where we want to prevent some things and be a little more proactive in it instead of reactive.
And I'm sure they know of things that we should prevent that we're not even thinking of.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of money, but it's not in the overall.
And the base need.
In the,
Exactly.
And they're
Yeah.
gonna do a lot of work for the 15,000.
that's what I'm thinking, if it's,
I think we can look back
Who
up
can
what we
read
did
that
in the
much?
90s, and I think it was at least that, if
Okay.
not more.
Yeah.
So, we could look
They
back.
didn't have computers.
That might have been the problem.
To make it official, could we get a motion to forward this to council for approval?
I'll make a motion to forward the proposed zoning code project to council for approval.
I'll second the motion.
Further discussion? Besides, it's a good idea.
I'll just, my opinion is kind of, I look at this map often while we're here,
That's
because, one, it's outdated, but I just kind of think, if you think of a city and you try to overlay and put everything in nice, neat little boxes, and you say, well, this is where the houses are gonna be, and this is where industry is gonna be, and this is where, our commercial space and businesses are gonna be. I don't think, it looks really nice when you lay it out all colored this way, and then you get, to building things and having people live there and interact with it, and it's, real life, and you have to deal with the nuances and trials and tribulations, and I don't think that, having the zoning code as it exists with very kind of discrete or trying to be very discrete silos of areas is not maybe working out as well as it had hoped to be in the 90s or when it was last reviewed. And I'm hoping that Becker will have a good solution to, you know, something that allows us to enforce what we need to enforce, but then also have flexibility and let business owners and property owners, you know, make the best choices for not only themselves, but for the city too.
And there are general zoning types that we don't have in the city that maybe we should. They can help us with that.
Yeah, we had a zoning board of appeals meeting earlier today, and it was for a setback of a house that was built 120 years ago, you know? And of course, now they have to come and pay $50 or $75 and get a public hearing, and
Yeah,
and when we should be writing something that allows somebody
yeah,
with a, you know, to have the setback be what their
Correct.
house was,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Or
right,
allow
yeah,
it, because as long as they're not going massive, right?
Right.
They have a house that was built before the code was,
Yeah.
you know, so those are the things
yeah.
that,
What
time-
benefit did the city get from having that property owner come and?
$75.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Well, if there's no more discussion, all those in favor of forwarding this to council for approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you very much for that one. Project update, staff reports?
I don't have anything else. Thank you for coming tonight. It was another meeting and a lot done, so thank you.
And I'm sure something will crop up before next, or a month from now, so
We'll see.
there's always something in April. If there are no future agenda items to discuss, is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 8:02. Thank you.